Imagine a man so cold-blooded that even the Mafia, the most feared criminal organization in America, was afraid of him, a professional killer who didn't just murder his victims, but froze their bodies for weeks, sometimes even months, just to confuse forensic investigators and completely erase the timeline of his crimes. This isn't a movie script. This isn't a work of fiction. This is the true story of one of the most dangerous and prolific serial killers in American history, Richard Kuklinski, a man better known as the Iceman. His story is a chilling look into the mind of a true predator, a man who lived a double life and perfected the art of murder. How did a man become so devoid of emotion, so ruthlessly efficient, that he became a legend in the underworld? Let's find out. Richard Kuklinski was born in 1935, right in Jersey City, New Jersey, into a home that was less of a sanctuary and more of a war zone. His childhood was a relentless cycle of brutality. His father was a violent alcoholic who beat him mercilessly, and his mother was incredibly strict and emotionally distant, believing that pain was the only effective form of discipline. From his earliest days, Richard learned a twisted lesson. Violence wasn't just acceptable, it was normal, and mercy was a sign of weakness. This brutal upbringing forged a coldness in him that would define his entire life. The turning point came when he was just 14 years old, after getting into a fight with a local teenager. Something inside Richard snapped. He lost control and beat the boy to death with his bare hands. But what happened next is what's truly terrifying. He simply walked away from the body. There was no fear, no guilt, no regret. Just a cold, empty void. That single moment set the stage for the monster he would become. He had discovered a dark power within himself, and he wasn't afraid to use it. That first kill was just the beginning of a long and bloody career. As Richard grew older, that inherent violence found a new outlet. He graduated from street brawls to the world of organized crime, starting with petty theft, running illegal businesses, and using his intimidating presence to collect debts. It wasn't long before his reputation for being utterly fearless and brutally efficient caught the attention of some very powerful people. The Mafia saw something in him that they both admired and feared. He was strong, he was intelligent, and most importantly, he was completely emotionless. He could kill without a second thought. Richard Kuklinski quickly became a go-to contract killer, working with some of the most powerful crime families in the United States, including the infamous Gambino family. For him, killing wasn't personal. It wasn't about revenge or passion. It was simply a job, a transaction. He was a businessman whose business was death. He treated murder with the same cold detachment as a mechanic fixing a car, and this made him incredibly valuable and incredibly dangerous in the criminal underworld. What set Richard apart from other killers wasn't just his lack of emotion, but his chilling creativity. He took pride in his work and never wanted to establish a predictable pattern that could be traced back to him. He was a student of murder, constantly experimenting with different methods to keep law enforcement guessing. He used guns, knives, and poison. He was an expert with explosives, using car bombs when he needed to send a message. He strangled his victims, a method that required a chilling, up-close and personal approach. But his most infamous and disturbing method was what he did after the murder was complete. He would take his victims' bodies and place them in massive industrial freezers, leaving them there for weeks or even months. Why would he do this? The reason was pure, cold-blooded genius. By freezing the body, he made it nearly impossible for medical examiners to determine the exact time of death. Without a time of death, investigators couldn't establish a timeline for the crime. No timeline meant no solid alibis to check, no reliable leads to follow. It was this signature method that earned him his unforgettable nickname, the Iceman. Perhaps the most terrifying aspect of Richard Kuklinski's life was his ability to wear a mask of absolute normalcy. While he was one of America's most feared killers by night, by day, he was a seemingly ordinary family man living in the quiet suburbs of New Jersey. He was a husband. He was a father to 3 children. His neighbors saw him as a regular guy, someone you'd wave to while he was mowing his lawn. They had absolutely no idea that a monster lived right next door. This double life was a testament to his complete lack of empathy. He could tuck his children into bed, kiss them goodnight, and then leave the house to go commit a brutal murder, all without a single flicker of emotional conflict. He compartmentalized his life so perfectly that his family remained completely unaware of his dark profession for decades. This ability to switch between loving father and ruthless killer in an instant is what makes his story so profoundly unsettling. For years, the Iceman operated in the shadows, a ghost in the criminal underworld. But by the mid-1980s, his reign of terror was finally coming to an end. Law enforcement agencies, particularly the FBI and the New Jersey State Police, had been building a case against him for a long time. They launched a complex undercover operation, with a brave agent posing as a fellow contract killer to gain Kuklinski's trust. Over several months, they recorded their conversations, and Richard, arrogant and overconfident, began to boast. He bragged about his methods, his ruthlessness, and the sheer number of people he had killed. Those recordings were the final nail in his coffin. In 1986, Richard Kuklinski was arrested, and his double life came crashing down. During his interrogations, he confessed to killing over 100 people, though authorities could only concretely link him to a handful of murders in court. He was sentenced to multiple life sentences in prison, where he remained until his death in 2006, just as cold, emotionless, and unremorseful as the day he committed his first murder. The story of Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, leaves us with a chilling and undeniable truth. The most dangerous monsters don't always look like monsters. They don't always lurk in the shadows or have evil written on their faces. Sometimes, they look just like us. They can be our neighbors, our colleagues, the quiet man at the end of the street. They can be husbands and fathers who hide an unimaginable darkness behind a mask of normalcy. Kuklinski's life is a terrifying reminder that evil can wear an ordinary face. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please show your support by hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into incredible true stories. And I want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments what story you want me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.